I think it was you, where I'm wearing a headset, and you know that there was a chick at this reception who was keen, and every time I was shooting, I couldn't see this chick. I remember you told me that you were looking at this person to see if they're looking at me, and you told me they were constantly staring. Obviously, a bit weird for positive pro for why I wish you wear a headset. but
what kind of pro is
I don't know. In case I wanted to talk to this person.
I feel like this podcast has got like off rails there.
Yeah,
it's like talking about like random shit.
No, but like you've told me shit. You've said to me stuff that I've just not picked up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, what do you mean? And you're like, bro, this chick's looking at you right now. I reckon she can't go talk to her or something like that.
This is all in his dreams. Not getting any attention.
It's pretty sad.
Yeah. Hey guys, welcome to the Cameramen Show. I'm Manav.
And I'm Kartik.
And in this podcast, we talk everything about weddings, cameras, and business. And in today's episode, we are talking about the greatest shit-talking device that has ever been made. All right. And by that, I mean headsets during weddings. Headsets, yeah.
This is interesting because this has been more of a new discovery. Like, I know photographers and videographers historically have used earpieces. And I think you picture, for those of you who aren't vendors or photographers or videographers, but picture like your bouncer security guard person who wears the wire over their head and it's connected to only one earpiece and that's it. And they have like a little buckle thing adjusted to them. I think that's what I've seen some like photographers in the day use.
You got like in-ear ones, or you got like, you know, over the ear, whatever.
Yeah.
And to be honest, this wasn't really a thing until like COVID from memory. Comms have always been around for like the longest time, and this has been more used in like the broadcast, those kind of environments more.
I see what
not
you mean.
so much in weddings.
Yeah.
But what COVID did was, live streaming became like a really big thing during COVID weddings, right? And during those, like when you're live streaming and you're trying to talk to like a live streaming tech, who's sitting at a computer and they have like 4 or 5 different angles to cut to. How do you communicate with your videographers, right?
Through headsets,
it has to be through headsets. So basically, from my memory, I think the first time the headsets actually became really popular was during COVID.
Interesting.
And since COVID, we've just been using them now because it's just so much fun to use them. First of all, and secondly, it's just like it has improved our productivity overall quite a lot. Yeah.
Well, we thought we'd come together, make a list of our pros and cons of all the reasons why these things are great or why they're freaking shit. And in case you're a photographer thinking of getting one, well, I hope this podcast episode is useful for you. If you're a guest who happens to stumble across this video, which may not be as relevant, then just know that it serves us as a productivity tool, depending on what side of the coin that you see and agree with.
And shout out to eTech for making sick headsets that I've been using for like 4 years now, right? Almost 4 years.
Interesting.
And even though like the inside of the ears, like the part that touches your ear, like the little pads have kind of worn out, bro. The headsets have been like flawless.
I know that they're an unofficial sponsor, but if you guys want to sponsor us, that'd be very nice.
Yeah, so I basically have like the 5 headset version, which is like one master and then
mad
4 slaves or whatever.
All right, let's dive in. Dive in. Why don't you read out the first pro?
Cool. All right, so I think the first pro that comes to mind is like the time just flies when you're using those, right, at weddings. And now that we've experienced like using them and not using them at weddings, it's such a big difference.
I always feel sad when you say, "Oh no, I didn't bring my headsets today," and I'd be like, "Fuck."
Even though overall it's not going to make a difference.
Yeah, true. Realistically, it doesn't change what we do. It just, there's a pros and cons to this, but it does help us to work in a particular manner, which seems more enjoyable. Like, I know for a fact, the second you pull that shit out, I'm laughing the entire time. Now, obviously, like, I'm doing it professionally to an extent, right? It's just like, oh, we're giggling, we're shit talking, or whatever it is, right? Or like we're coordinating. I just feel like because we're mates, time just flies.
Yeah.
Like, because you have the headset on, I'll have it on, and then 2 of our shooters will have it on. And we'll just talk shit about stuff.
And mind you, this is like, obviously like headsets are not like, be all end all. It's not like you can't shoot weddings without headsets. Like obviously we've been doing it for years before we even used it, right?
Yeah, correct.
And especially when you're working with the same photographer or videographer. Like for example, we work quite a lot together, right?
Yeah.
I feel like we already know to not really get in each other's way as much of each other. But for new photographers, like imagine you've never worked with a photographer before or a videographer before. And I feel like that's where it comes in handy the most is like
Actually, yeah, it's more about like, yeah, we know each other, so we know what shots you're gonna get.
And sometimes you're just gonna look at me, and I'm just gonna look at you, and we already know what we're thinking, and we already get into those positions, right?
But that's because we've seen and worked with each other.
Worked with each other for a long time. Yeah.
So this is probably more of a thing if you haven't worked with each other. Hey, just jump on a headset so we can coordinate, and we know. But one of the pros that I think is important to note here in terms of why we use headsets, apart from like time just flies on the wedding day, is for one of the strongest reasons is because it leads to great photography and videography synergy. Now, what I mean by that is very like sort of piggybacking off that point is that as a photographer, there are certain shots that I'm going to get that only a photographer can get. And there are certain shots that you can get that only a videographer can get. Now, of course, we have each other's interest at mind and at heart here. So we do look out for these things. But say, for instance, we have a wedding and I've got a headset on and I see an opportunity that I know you'd want to get. I'd be like, hey, bro, I'm about to take a shot here. I think you might want to be on in this. And maybe you're somewhere else. I can just literally talk to you about it over the headset and you'd be like, oh, shit, cool. Like, store for 2 seconds. I'm on my way. You know what I mean? Like, at least it helps us to coordinate really, really well with each other. Not just people for like, who have never worked with each other. At least in the immediate team, your shooters are already kind of bouncing around and going, oh, hey, this is happening, or hey, this is happening.
You know what's it's really funny because this thing about like the synergy between photographer and videographer, I have a story to tell you.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. And this happened recently at a wedding where I was doing video only for the client.
Okay.
And
I came across somebody else.
I came across a new photographer that I'd never worked with.
Oh.
Right. And imagine this church wedding.
Yeah.
Right. It's going on. And we're in the middle of the
it's
ceremony. It's all happening. Shit's going down. We're right in the middle. The priest is like, you can now kiss your bride.
So this is the moment.
This is the moment.
They're about to make out.
Yeah. I'm like on a 7200 and right down the middle of the aisle.
Yep.
Out of nowhere, I just have a photographer just come into the middle of my shot.
Motherfucker.
Yeah.
Oh,
and just and they first of all, like I offered them like, hey, do you want to wear headsets? They're like, no.
Why?
I don't know what it was. I think maybe he didn't want to wreck his hair or something, or what it was, right?
I can relate.
Whatever it is. Whatever it was. Yeah. He literally said, no, I don't want to wear a headset. And like literally in the moment when they went for a kiss, the guy literally blocked my main shot.
Fuck
now
that
mind
guy.
you, I obviously like we film weddings with 3 or 4 angles because of this reason.
Yeah.
So I had like 2 other angles on the couple, right? Wow. So we got the kiss, but not like from the front on angle that I wanted to. It was like slightly side on.
Did you go up to that photographer and be like, oi?
I told him.
Yeah.
And the guy's just like, oh, so sorry. No, my bad. Lord.
So sorry, my bad. Oh.
But like, I mean, at the point, what can you say anyway, right? Like, it is what it is. But like, in regards to the synergy, this comes to mind that if both photographer and a videographer are wearing headsets, this kind of a situation would never come up.
True.
Because just when it's like, there's been times when we've worn it you've come in my shot accidentally and be like, hey bro, sorry, you're in my shot, right?
Yeah. And then I duck.
And you usually move like a little bit to the left. It's not like you're not getting your shot, right? It just means.
Or if I was in that scenario with you and I needed a frontal shot and you were on a 7200, you just needed a tight mid frame, I would just duck down. I would literally just duck. If that's all it took, be like, Kartik, just duck. I would literally duck down. Get a wide shot that I had to, but I know that if I stand up, I'm cutting your frame. But that is something that headsets actually help with. So I get it, and I agree with you that like it's moments like these that you want to avoid. And for people who maybe have gone, oh well, we've worked just as well without a headset. I promise you, put it on. Obviously, you muck around a little bit, but like you automatically realize that there's just going to be great ways of communicating and coordinating with either vendors you've worked with or vendors you've not even come across that you'll go, oh, actually, this shit actually helps. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. And it's also like not even, forget about like just the synergy between photographer and videographer. When you have like the weddings we shoot are usually like very big. Like 350 people are very just common.
Ethnic weddings typically have like a lot of people.
And it's loud, right? It's very loud at these weddings. And like, even if you try to like, okay, what's the alternative? If I need to ask you something, or if I need to get something,
you come up to me, you yell in my ear or something,
literally.
or you have to like take out time to go find me, and be like, oi, and like yell at me and be like, yo, this is what's going. I need, I know what you mean.
So like in this, the kind of weddings we shoot with like 300 people plus, you have to have headsets now, and that like it's almost become from like a something that we tried out because of live stream
or live stream
like
COVID.
during COVID or whatever
Yep.
to like a necessity now. I literally do not leave my house without headsets now when I'm shooting a wedding.
But I agree with you, especially when there's 300 like people, and anyone who's a wedding photographer knows that it's a very high pressure environment. Like people miss shots all the time. Shit goes by that you just don't even realize.
Especially Indian weddings, bro.
Yeah.
The uncles come in the middle of nowhere.
And like, you know, and couples are very particular about this. They'll rip you to shreds if you don't have something, right?
Yep.
And like, what do you say? Oh, someone came in my way. But like, okay, like, yeah, that person created a fault, but the onus is still on you. You should have to coordinate at all times to go like, what happens if a contingency like this, which could happen, which is very normal to happen, what happens when it happens? How do we react to it? Like we should have things in place. And this is why headsets actually help.
It's happened a lot where our uncles come in front of my shot, but you were standing next to the uncle.
Yeah.
I wasn't there. I was quite far away.
Yeah.
I'm like, Kartik, can you just tell the uncle to move out of the way?
Or where it's happened to me, you guys might have been in clear, but I couldn't get the shot, but my second could.
Yeah.
So for instance, someone's blocking my way and I'm like, I'm struggling now.
Yeah, I'm not getting this shot.
I'm not getting the shot. Hey, like I need you to take the shot instead.
Yeah.
They'll just quickly take it.
And they'll be like, yeah, we've got the shot all
and
good.
then I can adjust or
and then you're stress free. Like, all right, at least one of us got that shot.
There are so many people, and look, I get it. They're excited. They want to take photos on their phones, and you know, I've ranted about this in a separate podcast episode. But there are people, especially with 300 plus weddings, that just get in the way, and sometimes it'll interrupt and disrupt our workflow, which is why we can't always rely on the fact that we're going to tell these people to fuck off. We can't, because they're a guest, and you know they're going to try and get what they need because you know that's really important to them. But the responsibility is on us, and we have to take proactive measures. And this is where I think headsets just really come into play, where if someone comes in our way, at least we can communicate very quickly that, oh, hey, by the way, I'm blocked. I need somebody else to step in.
And I think also like it also stops us from not checking our phone during an event, which would like normally look very bad to like, imagine like you're in the middle of a speech or something, right? And I have to tell you something, and I can't physically walk up to you to whisper in your ear because we are on the other side of the room or whatever. Then only next thing I could do is if it's something urgent, is like take my phone out.
Yeah, it looks bad.
Yeah, take my phone out, dial your number, put it on my ear, and then you got like couples looking at us.
Look at you. What
this
the
guy's
fuck
capturing,
is this dickhead doing in the middle of my reception? Like fucking
this guy's capturing my speech and he's on his phone.
Yeah,
like, that looks pretty. That's a bad look, right?
It's a bad look.
So I feel like it also like it basically avoids that whole scenario.
Yeah, because
where
I
you
think
just don't have to be on your phone anymore.
being professional is one thing, and it also depends on, you might actually be like being professional by communicating on your phone, like because you need to do something productive and proactively. But that doesn't look like that to the bride and groom. They might think, oh, he's posting on Instagram or Facebook or something.
Another example of this is like, you know, the video lights I normally use.
Yes.
I have to turn them on and off with my phone.
Yeah.
Right. And the amount of times I've gotten, it's like looks like, because what I'm doing is I'm taking my phone out.
Yeah.
Just open the app and it takes like 5-10 seconds for the thing to load, right? And I'm just there. I'm just like, right?
Looks like you're taking the piss.
Literally. And then people are just like looking at me like, what the fuck is going on his phone for?
Yeah.
Right now. Although like that is for work as well. I'm not like on my phone checking Instagram or whatever. But
I think that, the headsets just take away screen time. Because if you can communicate via text or your phone, it does look like a particular way. And it just stops it from looking like you're not doing shit. And that's why I think one of the reasons why people should consider it is so you can avoid other means of communication that don't seem as professional. Whereas no one's going to think twice when you're on a headset going, oh, well, all 4 people have a headset. They must be talking to each other. It must be about work. So it must be good. Like no one's going to interrupt that workflow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The other part that I think it just sort of helps is for the live streaming, which I know we've touched upon at the start of this video, but essentially just going out in that space where you know the live streaming person has to communicate with the videographers, and maybe you can touch on.
And
this.
for people that like don't know, like I'm sure there's some people like, what the fuck is live stream and wedding have to do anything with each other?
Yeah, correct.
Now the backstory of this is during COVID when we were only allowed to shoot like 10 people, 20 people, 30 people weddings. All the flights were like like there were no flights were coming. All the people, like a lot of weddings we shoot, people come from overseas. Like a lot of family comes from overseas. None of that was allowed during COVID. So live streaming became very popular in those couple of years, like to 2020, 2021, 2022. It's kind of died down a little bit now. I feel like not many people do it as much. Still get, occasional client here and there that wants to do it. But back then, it was literally every single wedding we were shooting during those 2 or 3 years was live stream. And for that, I have like a person that like this is my live streaming tech, right? Yep. So he will set up on the side of the venue. He will have like his monitor, his live streaming gear, and wireless transmitters and receivers that will place like on top of our cameras, right? So now from our cameras, he's got basically like a 3 or 4 or 5 camera feed going into this live streaming tech's the tech box, whatever you want to call it, like his computer. And the only way for him to communicate with us while we're shooting is through the headsets, right? And that's even more critical because it's live. So you have to make sure that whatever shot you're cutting to is ready, and it's not going to shake, it's not going to go weird,
because
it's not
then you
going to
have to
move around.
preemptively get the next camera ready for when that shot's about to transition from that camera to your
the second camera. So that was the original reason why we started using this, right? So it was like, hey, Mano, I'm cutting to your camera, so make sure you're good to go. We cut. Then my second shoot, I would be like, oh, I'm cutting to your camera next, ready to go. So, the main reason was that we use this for live streaming, but I feel like now it's just like integrated into the whole wedding thing as a,
Okay, that's fine. So let's talk about what we think the cons could be now, because obviously, we're pro headsets, but what do you think a con could be in terms of like why we shouldn't?
Bro, not gonna lie, I've had some people laugh at me. I just randomly I was wearing a headset once, and this guy just looks at me and he thought like I was like some fucking
radio broadcast
shit.
So who the fuck is this guy thinking? Bro, he's just a photographer, videographer. Like, why the fuck is he wearing a headset?
It was to a point where I just started laughing inside. I'm like, I 100% get why this guy's laughing and why he's looked at me and he's doing that face. Imagine I'm just standing there and I just look at this guy and all I see is just like he's telling to his girlfriend just something in an E, and they're just like cracking up and shit, just looking at me. I'm like, oh, this is so embarrassing.
I get it. It looks weird, and I think it's also even harder because. Shout out to one of our shooters, Arlook. He's got a big fro, and every time he puts on his headset, it just like pushes in all of his hair to his ears, and it just looks really interesting because he's got a lot of hair, right? And so I think it's harder for someone with a big head of hair as opposed to someone with like shorter haircuts like us.
And mind you, back to your point about having that, the innie ones that security guys wear. If it was like that, obviously it's a bit more discreet. The ones we wear are like a little bit more over the ear.
They're very.
They have
evident.
Everyone see like gaming headsets, right? Imagine a gaming headset, but only one side is the ear is the where you're listening to the other one's just like a clip.
It's
thing.
like if you can't even think about that, but think about you're at the airport and you know that pilots have like the thank you so much for boarding.
It's pretty much that.
Yeah, it's pretty much looks like that. Like it legit looks like that. The other part that I think it can be a bit questionable in terms of why it's not maybe a good thing to wear headsets is I can automatically know when you've cracked a joke, and you do, like a lot of the times when we're shooting weddings together.
Some weird shit happens.
You're saying some mum joke or something fucked up. I don't even know what you're saying. I can't help but laugh.
Yeah.
And imagine we end up laughing, which doesn't happen all the time, but imagine we end up laughing during the most serious moments of a wedding. It does look pretty bad. So I think the hardest part to do with this is, and also depends on who you're shooting with. Because I like shooting with boys that I really get along with, like, people in the team. I always have a fun time. And because I'm having a fun time, I often forget. I'm like, oh, I should probably be a bit more serious here. Like I should be concentrating and shit. Mind you, I still do my job effectively. I'm still getting the shots that I need. But because I'm laughing through and giggling through it like discreetly, not like a lot of it, I can get that might look unprofessional.
Mind you, sometimes I'll just test this guy out. And I'll just say like messed up shit in the middle of like a really serious moment, just for lol, just to see what his reaction is, because I know he has to like not laugh in that moment. Is the funniest.
You know what's
the
worst that you do? Yeah. I'll be in the moment of like, and I think this is when videographers can naturally take a bit of a seat. So fuck you guys. But basically, when family photos are happening, and I'm like, all right, guys, and I've got headsets on. All right, guys, on my camera, 3, 2, 1, taking a photo. I've got Manav in my ear saying the most fucked up shit. Some messed up dark humor, dark cat fucking death like sounding shit in my ear. And it's just shit that you would expect to hear like Reddit or some dark web shit. And he's saying that shit in my ear.
It's not that bad.
No, you say that now.
It's exaggerating. Like, I don't know. I'm a good guy. Anyways.
Go fuck yourself. And you're saying this to my ear. And it's so like I'm smirking. And the couples know that I'm smiling because they see I have a headset on. And they know we're in some communication point. Now, usually at this point, we're not busting out this shit within the first 5 minutes. Like, we've built a rapport with the clients. They know we're easygoing people. We're not taking the piss. Like, we're actually there to work. We get our job done. And so we've established that, hey, we also like to have fun. Now, they don't know what we're talking about, but they know that.
I think it's good if they don't.
Yeah, I hope they don't. Let's probably keep it that way. But I can imagine, like, them going, oh, you guys are having a bit of a laugh. Like, ha, 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 ha.
So I can see where it looks a little bit bad. I guess it could come across as looking as a bad thing where your clients kind of start thinking like, oh, what the fuck are these guys doing? Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
The other challenge that I know, and I think this comes off the back of the career where I think when I started, I didn't have a lot to invest in terms of extra stuff. Like, you know, we're talking about things like, you know, CRMs and online gallery providers. Like when you start, you probably use Google Drive and just basic shit. You're trying to avoid unnecessary expenses at the start of your career because you don't really know what you actually need at this point to shoot effectively. Like, yeah, you need a camera. Yeah, you need a lens. The part that I'm sort of making with this is that this is an added expense. You've bought these headsets before.
They're not cheap, bro.
How much did you end up spending?
I would say they were like around 1,500 or something.
And this is by E-Tech or something?
Yeah.
So why the fuck are these guys not sponsoring us is well beyond me.
Like I literally know like 3 people that have this headsets as well.
Wow.
Like, yeah. So it's like obviously you can get like in a pack of like 2, 3, 4, 5 or whatever. I got the 5 one.
You got 5 pack, not even 4 pack. You got 5 pack.
Because it made sense because normally when you're doing like live streams, for example, one is your live streaming tech. Then you have 4 shooters, right? Like 2 photographers, 2 videographers. So it makes sense to generally get 5. But these things are not cheap, and they have like an upkeep as well. Like you got to make sure like each one's got like external battery, and like I have lost batteries in the past.
Oh shit!
Because they're very tiny, right?
Tiny.
So I've had to order new batteries.
Oh, that's so annoying.
So it's not just like you have a one-off payment. You have to make sure that
to maintain it.
And the thing I was talking about before as well, where they have like pads inside
that wear out.
That you can order pads by themselves as well. So I know one of the shooters that shoots for us both. He literally just got the pads recently, and he's had I don't know if it's the second time he's had pads now or whatever. But there is an ongoing cost as well to this.
Yeah, wow. Yeah. Okay, so again, we're assuming that people who are investing into headsets are probably in the middle of their career or somewhere where you're already established.
I would not recommend buying this as like the first thing you ever buy if you just got into weddings. Although like, it might be like a very good investment at the start.
Look,
there are more important things to buy.
There are definitely more important things that you can, lenses, more camera bodies, right? Memory cards, a whole bunch of other important things. Like this, mind you, is just an aid. Like this just helps you to execute on the day. Again, if you refer to the pros and not the cons of our entire list, but this helps you to execute and be better than what you could have been on the day. So I think for that reason, like it's a nice to have. It's not by all means a necessity, but if you have the disposable income to go and spend $1,500, right? AUD, mind you, like I'm not too sure what it would be.
It would be
USD.
Like, I don't know, 11, 1200.
Yeah,
USD,
something like
whatever.
that. Maybe not, but if you have the funds, then by all means go for it because great tool. But just be mindful that yes, this is like an added expense.
Yeah, and forget about the expense side of things as well. Like I feel like another con I can think of is like they're not very comfortable to wear in general. Like for long days. Like I don't mind wearing them for like like a 2 hour or whatever. Like but when you have like a full reception, you're wearing throughout the whole reception. Like I've noticed like just on like one side of my head, I might start getting a little pain or whatever.
I think it's weird because add that, then add heat.
Yeah.
Now you're sweating and shit.
In summer it's the worst.
Yeah.
Like legit in summer it's the worst. Because you'll actually like be sweating under those on your ears. Yeah.
I think and like here's the trade-off, right? Like comfort versus efficiency.
Yeah.
Because it might be the most efficient tool to have, but if it's the most discomforting thing to wear and it's like, your sweat's building up around your ear. It's like, it's proper disgusting. And then not only that, bro, like these things aren't washed. No one, like, we don't freaking spray this shit with Dettol or some stuff.
Every time we use it.
Bro, every time we use it, we don't just pick up whatever. We don't really care, right? But like, from a hygiene perspective, you already know that like, it's gonna weird you out. Like there's like it's probably like got components like falling off from the earmuffs. Like it's not the most comfortable experience to have with these headsets. So I get it, like how it can be a very uncomfortable experience. You know what a cool thing is? When this is when you build rapport though. When clients or guests go, oh, like what's that on your head? I don't know about you, but like it's fun. Just I think it's just really, it's about selling in the brand and the value that you guys are not just serious. You guys are fun people.
Yeah.
And I think it's great when like, guests at a wedding go, oh, so is that a headset?
That could be a pro though, if you think about it. If it makes you look more like
personal.
If it makes you stand out compared to like any other videographer or photographer they come across. Because you don't know how people think, right?
True.
Generally, like there is a lot of times in the I want to say mostly in the wedding industry, but just in the the photography industry or the camera industry in general, clients tend to have this perception that the bigger, the more professional looking your camera is, right? The more they're happy to increase the budget of a certain production, right? Yeah.
Interesting.
So I would say the same thing might even apply to like headsets. So if a client, if a random couple sees you wear a headset, you might come across as being more professional than the other person. Yeah.
I think this is what I can relate to. It's like, you remember when drones first came out and they got introduced into highlight reels? Automatically, everyone thought the production value of this entire brand was higher because you've introduced a drone which just came out. Now, obviously, everyone has drones.
Drone is not, and obviously, drone is not the same thing as a headset because drone, you actually see the shot in the video.
Correct.
You don't really see any headset thing in the video.
It does establish a level of credibility in the final product where you go, oh, that was really grandiose and the value from that drone shot was amazing. Like, it adds value to it. So I think the same way.
And mind you, like the value add by the headsets might not be direct, that you don't see like a drone shot or whatever. But the fact that you haven't missed any moments, the fact that you have a really, really good video to show your client overall in general, there is a certain amount of the aid that the headsets have provided in that being the case.
I remember being in a room where I was in the bridal ensuite for the reception and I had a headset on and I was with the bride and groom talking to them, and the second shooter was at the DJ and they were in communication and whatnot. And so then the bride and groom were like, oh, we don't know if the DJ is there or not. And I'm like, hey, look, can you just check if the DJ's there? Oh, yep, he's there. Okay. Hey, by the way, guys, I just confirmed he's actually here. They're, oh, great, really? Like, beyond the team, beyond the shooters, it actually helps the couple if you can communicate or they want to know something really quickly. Yeah. Like, I'm sure they could have found that information out anyways, but it's a quick little value add from those moments. Yeah. But I think going back to your point about it might not result directly in a benefit then and there, but at the end of the day, when you've carried out your job and you've done it in a very professional manner and you've coordinated really, really well, it does in turn reflect that you guys are professionals, you know what you're doing. It doesn't make it look like you're always shit talking. You're always actually there to work as well. And it does provide you with like a level of differentiation that someone who may not have maybe, the full coordination down pat to go, these guys know what they're doing. They can charge at a premium. This is why we go with them.
Okay, have you ever thought about like when we talk shit sometimes? Thanks for putting your phone on during the podcast. Very professional.
I'm a professional, man.
Okay, do you want to do it now?
I think it's
you want to take this call? You can take this call if you want.
No, it's on silent now. It's on silent. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, have you ever thought, like, while we're like shit talking or whatever during, an event where we have headsets on, imagine if someone has like access to that frequency and they can listen to all the shit that we were talking about.
I would probably.
I always think about this. I'm like, can you imagine someone sitting there like jacking this frequency or something?
I think I would be cancelled. I would leave, pack up country, and just fuck off. See you later. That's it. Done. Tata bye. I couldn't.
Because a lot of shit we talk about, it's not even got anything to do with the wedding or the bride or whatever. It's just like some random shit from somewhere, which is like messed up.
No, but I remember there's another story, and I think I can't remember. It was recently. And was it you or one of the other boys? I think it was you, where I'm wearing a headset and you know that there was a chick at this reception who was keen. And every time I was shooting, I couldn't see this chick. I remember you told me that you were looking at this person to see if they're looking at me. And you told me they were constantly staring. Obviously a bit weird for a positive pro for why I wish you would have headset. but
what kind of pro is
I don't know. In case I wanted to talk to this person.
I feel like this podcast has got like off rails now.
Yeah,
just like talking about like random shit.
No, but like you've told me shit. You've said to me stuff that I've just not picked up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, what do you mean? And you're like, bro, this chick's looking at you right now. I reckon she keen. Go talk to her or something like that.
This is all in his dreams. Not getting any attention.
It's pretty sad.
Yeah.
So by this point, hopefully if you're a photographer and you're on the fence about getting a headset, that this entire episode convinces you to get a headset. And now you might want to shit talk, but do it in a very efficient way.
I still think it's a good idea to get it. Like, I know there might be like some cons. We have mentioned cons, obviously, of having a headset. But I think overall, the value add,
like net positive.
It's a net positive.
Net positive.
Yeah, the amount of shots we end up not missing because of headsets, because no one gets in each other's way. The communication is so much more clear. It's just you can't.
I remember actually before I wanted to decide whether a headset was good for me. I remember having black earphones back in the day. You know why? Black could be a bit discreet than white, and it makes it look like, oh, they probably have a headset going on. I used to put it in one ear, not two. And I did this because I was like, I wonder if this would actually help. This is not knowing anything about headsets, and it helped. So if you're saying a bit like, oh, I don't know if I would actually do this or not, try just wearing black earphones and specifically make it black, because I think why it's a bit sus, and they've got Apple AirPods, just looks a bit odd. Makes it look like you're probably listening to music whilst the wedding's happening. Probably not the vibe I would go for. But wear like black earphones if you can, and then just call your teammate or call your shooter, and then coordinate and use that as a way to suss it out.
Oh, I'll tell you. Actually, you know what? One more positive point that I just realized is, I feel like these headsets are gonna help me not go deaf when the DJ's playing music really loud.
Yes.
Right?
Oh my god! Yes.
Right? I feel like that's a massive point.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the times we shoot like during the dance floor, it's loud as fuck. And I've always thought like, man, if I do this thing for like 10, 15 years, I'm probably gonna go deaf.
You'll be deaf
by the time
guaranteed.
In like 15 years. But what the headset do is they basically just cut out the noise by like almost half. Right?
And if you're an Indian wedding photographer, or you do a lot of ethnic events, especially like Lebanese weddings, where the drummers go fucking crazy.
Yep.
If you're doing that shit, I promise you, your ears are like fucked in 50 years time. You're gone. Guaranteed gone.
And this actually helps with that because
especially
like,
some of the headsets have double-sided earmuffs, right? And that does cancel out a little bit of external noise.
at least half. Because they're actually like proper noise cancelling, most of them. Yeah. So I feel like it helps me a lot.
There you go. This is a freaking health bonus.
Save your ears. Buy headsets. Buy.
And if you're e-tech, sponsor us.
Yeah.
We need money.
Yeah. We need anything we can get at this point.
Please. Let us know if you guys have any stories. Maybe you've had headset stories and we didn't know this, and like you've said some shit that you shouldn't have said and you got cancelled. Hopefully you didn't. Or if you're contemplating like getting some, like let us know your thoughts after you've used them, because maybe you actually agree with this entire segment.
I would highly recommend the e-tech ones. They are very good.
Maybe we can add them in the description.
Yeah, we'll add a link in the description. It's not really like a affiliate link or whatever, but I'll just chuck a random
But think of us if you buy it though. I'd appreciate that.
Yeah. But yeah, these have been really good for me. Like I feel like
fantastic. All right, guys, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, comment your favorite part in this entire video, and we'll see you in next week's video.